Cyberpunk 2077's first-person perspective is something that has been pretty divisive for a very long time. Many people just prefer the third-person perspective and feel like that first-person camera completely diminishes any point of having a character creator. Why should I customize my character if I can't see them at all in the game? This is a sentiment that people have held even since back in 2018 when the gameplay was first revealed. It's been so long and people still want it. Now, I've actually been a big defender of that first-person perspective. It does a lot in adding to the immersion of the experience. In fact, I actually went over this exact topic in a video I posted a couple of weeks ago, so, go check that out if you're interested. But that's besides the point. The point is, the first-person camera actually does have massive benefits for the game. And since Cyberpunk 2077's life cycle is officially over, it's pretty safe to say that CDPR is not gonna be adding a third-person camera to that game. But there is a possibility of it happening in Cyberpunk's sequel, also known as Project Orion. And when it comes to that game, I 100% do want to see some sort of optional third-person camera. Now, even though CDPR is done with 2077, modders are still flooding into the scene and adding new content into the game. And of course, a third-person camera is one of those things. Now, I've actually downloaded it recently, as well as some mods that fix the animations in third person, and I gotta say, it's completely flipped my perception or opinion on the third-person camera in Cyberpunk. From a functionality standpoint, it actually plays way better than I thought it would. It feels nice to just walk around Night City while seeing my character. It makes V feel more like a real person in a way, and makes it feel like V is an actual part of the world. But this isn't a mod review. The real reason why I'm mentioning this mod is because of the fact that it made me go from not caring about the third-person view to actively wanting one in the sequel. I already touched up on the immersion aspect of it, just making V feel like an actual part of the world. But it also just gives you more incentive to dress up your character and to roleplay as that lifestyle. Say you want to roleplay as a corpo. Seeing your character walk around in corpo attire can help you identify your character's identity and allows you to grow a deeper connection to them. That's one of the things that I've noticed about playing other RPGs. If you name your character and you spend hours in the character creator designing them, and you spend hours on your playthrough with that character that you made, you feel more connected to that character, and letting them go feels a bit harder. I feel connected to V as a character, but not my version of V. And it's not like this is a Witcher 3 situation either, where Geralt has a definitive look. You're allowed to pick V's life path and pick V's gender and design V however you see fit. But even though you're allowed to do that, I feel like there's a level of disconnect there that is caused by the lack of a third-person camera. Another thing is that, straight up, I feel like having a third-person camera in the sequel would allow for a greater level of replayability. You could play the game in first person on your first playthrough, and then in your second playthrough you could play in the third-person camera. Or maybe you can just alternate between the two. More options means more playtime. And that is important if you want this game to live on. What's also important in any RPG is the dialogue. And that third-person mod for Cyberpunk 2077 that I mentioned earlier helped me realize the potential of having a third-person camera in those dialogue sequences. If you watched my previous Cyberpunk video, you'd know that I talked about the dialogue sequences and how the animation quality as well as the control you have over the first-person camera increased the immersion in those story moments. What I didn't account for was the fact that a third-person camera can be implemented into the dialogue sequences in a similar way. In that 2077 third-person mod, I was caught off guard by the fact that the camera did not cut back to the first-person perspective in the cutscenes. The camera actually stayed behind V, and I was able to rotate the camera around during these dialogue sequences. Obviously, V's upper half is very stiff because you weren't supposed to see it in these scenes, but I can see the potential. Just imagine if V's head and face were animated in these scenes. It would surely make you feel more connected to the game because of the fact that it's kinda like peering through a window into Night City. I don't think I've ever seen that in a game before. The closest thing that comes to mind is the cutscenes in Assassin's Creed 1, but even then you're not picking any dialogue choices and you're not panning the camera around yourself, it's cutting around. Watching everything play out from a distance makes it feel all the more real, and the potential of that is the exact reason why I want to see a third-person mode inside of Cyberpunk's sequel. I'm not a game developer, and I'm sure this is insanely hard to implement, but I do think that if it were integrated into Project Orion, the payoff could be big, and it would cause all of the people that have been begging for a third-person mode to give CDPR one big thank you. Speaking of thank yous, thank all of you for watching this video. I really do hope that they integrate this into the sequel somehow, but whether or not that'll happen is to be determined. If you liked the video, hit the subscribe, like, and share button, and hopefully I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.